extremely excited about this 2014 class. I just want the El Paso fans to know, before we ever even turned on the film on these young men, one of the first things we did is talk to coaches, opposing coaches, people within that school. We wanted to figure out what type of character these young men had before we even turned on the film. The other criteria we had was we had to have a transcript in hand to make sure these guys were on the academic track as far as progress-wise that shows that they have a burning desire to get a degree. Again, that was before we ever even turned on the film. And then when we turned on the film, what we were looking for was production, productive players, guys that made plays. Because if you make plays in high school, you're probably going to make plays in college. We tried to stay away from potential players, guys that just have potential but haven't shown it on film. These guys can all play. I think you'll see that when we show the highlight film. The other thing, the premium was on getting our kind of guys. I think everybody in this day and age really gets enamored with this guy's a 5-star and a 4-star and a 2-star. I'll give you an interesting tidbit. In the Super Bowl on Sunday, there was more 2-star and 3-star and unranked players playing for both teams than the combined 4 and 5 stars for both ranked teams. Both teams playing in the Super Bowl on Sunday. The best of the best playing the best of the best were comprised of unranked players, 2 and 3 stars. So in my mind, a lot of that stuff, I know it's exciting for the fans. In our mind, it's kind of BS. All right, we're looking for guys that can play football and do it on film and are going to translate into college. Okay. I woke up this morning, it was kind of reality hit too. 30 years ago today is the day I signed as a UTEP minor. I'm starting to really feel my age. Summarizing this class, we went into it with a plan, and I can't really thank Brian Mackin enough for keeping us on track with that plan. He's as cut and dry when it comes to our recruiting as it gets. We wanted to sign mainly high school players. We signed 20 high school players, and we signed 3 junior college players that are here on campus right now, in addition to another high school player that graduated early that's on campus right now. Hopefully, after they're done with class during this press conference, you'll get a chance to meet those young men. I'll introduce you to them. We signed 12 offensive players and 11 defensive players. The focus of this group was going to be recruiting linemen. We signed 11 linemen. 7 on the defensive side of the ball, 4 on the offensive side of the ball. We added much needed size and toughness. We signed 13 players from Texas, and we made a commitment. The first day we took this job is to focus on El Paso first. I think everybody can agree we signed the best players in El Paso last year, and I'm pretty confident we signed the best players in El Paso this year in Warren Reddix and Eddie Senegal, 2 outstanding players. We signed 5 players from California, 2 from New York, and we went all over for recruiting to try to find the best players we could. We signed 1 from Ohio, 1 from Wisconsin, and 1 from New Mexico. Okay? And just for tidbits, we signed a Mookie, a Pookie, an Augie, and 2 guys named Pops. All right? So I think the minor fans will get used to those guys. I have the press release in the same order that you have, but I'm not going to read the entire bio. I just want to read some bullet points, and I think you'll see that what we're focusing in on is productive players. Starting the class is Stephen Forrester. He's a defensive end / linebacker. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this young man play linebacker when he's here. He started all 4 seasons at Dallas Christian High School. Recorded 99 tackles, 26 tackles for loss, 15 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, and 5 block kicks during his senior season alone. Okay? This guy was an All-State player. He was an All-State defensive lineman and academic All-State. Alex Villarreal, who is a junior college lineman that we signed from Northeast Oklahoma. He's 6'4", 300 pounds, gives us some much needed size inside. He's a 3-star recruit, all right, coming out. He signed with Oklahoma State, had a very productive freshman season. He played the entire sophomore season with a torn pectoral muscle. We have signed him. He's had surgery. He's going to be healthy and ready to go for us in June, and he's a special talent with a special motor, and he's an outstanding young man. Jason File, all right, he is a nose guard from Long Beach, California, a very storied program, Long Beach Poly High School. He's a 6-foot, 300-pound nose guard with a motor. His nickname is Pops. We call him Pops. He's a 4-year defensive starter for Long Beach Poly. His first 2 years he played middle linebacker. I think that tells you something about his athleticism for a 300-pounder. He posted 97 tackles, 28 for loss, and 8.5 sacks his senior year. For a career, he finished with 207 tackles, 52 tackles for loss, and 21.5 sacks as a nose guard. This guy plays with tempo and energy. He was also utilized at linebacker, and on offense, they used him as a lead back, fullback on goal line situations. He's ranked the 72nd nose guard prospect in the nation, and he was a defensive lineman of the year in his division, as was Stephen Forrester. Michael Soda, young man we had on our visit this past weekend. We're excited about getting him. He's got needed size. He can play D-end or D-tackle. He's 6'4", 260 pounds, and he's got a frame to put on a lot more weight. He tallied 69 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 6 quarterback hurries, and 6 pass breakups. And the pass breakups come because they played him as a stand-up outside linebacker some and dropped him off into coverage. Extremely athletic and had a very productive junior year. He was also named his league's lineman of the year out there in California at the Empire League. Joseph Kramer, defensive end, 6'3", 245 pounds from the Dayton area, Kettering, Ohio. This is in one game, 4 solo tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks during a postseason 35-21 win over Wyoming in the Ohio playoffs. Anybody knows anything about Ohio football, it's just like Texas football. It's intense, all right? It's good football. He recorded 60 tackles, 6 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 forced fumble during his junior season. He's ranked the 95th defensive end in the country by Scout.com and is a 3-star recruit on Scout.com. This kid has a frame. His dad is 7 feet tall. All right. When I went in the home, I was looking up and shaking up. And he's got a sister that plays volleyball that's 6'2". He comes from a big family. I think this kid's going to grow into a big one. Augie Torres from Buffalo, played at Canisius High School. Another big frame kid, 6'4", 235 pounds. I think this kid could go in 2 directions. I think he could be a defensive end for us. He also was a productive tight end in high school, very athletic. Blocked 2 punts during his senior season. He was named All-Western New York, All-Catholic, and All-Star first-team defensive honoree. He's going to play in the New York, New Jersey All-Star game, and we're just going to see where his body takes him because he's another one of those long, big-frame kids that's going to grow into a big person for us. This past person was in this past weekend. I think he really enjoyed the weather. He's from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Luke Elsner, defensive end, 6'3", 240 pounds. This guy has a relentless motor. He recorded 76 tackles, 25 of those for loss and 14 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 4 blocked punts, and 5 pass breakups. He opened up their season with 12 tackles, 4.5 sacks, and 2.5 for a loss in 1 game. That's production. He was named defensive first team All-State. And during his junior season, he racked up 17.5 sacks with 51 tackles, 3 forced fumbles, 1 block kick, and 1 pass breakup. All you got to do is watch this cat on film, and he is all over the place. And he, just like the other guys I just mentioned, is going to be a big kid before it's all said and done. He's got a great frame, long armed. He's probably going to be a 270-pounder when it's all said and done. Jimmy Musgrave, he's here on campus. Had an opportunity to watch him in drills on Monday. We had our first off-season workout. This kid's competitive, he's tough, and he loves the game of football. He's actually a bounce back. He started his career at the University of Oregon, went back to junior college. He led his conference in tackles, had 94 tackles, 8 sacks, 15 tackles for loss, and 1 forced fumble. very productive linebacker, very smart. In high school, he was a dual threat, played running back in high school, and had 79 carries for 452 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's the 28th ranked JC linebacker in the nation by 247 Sports. If you talk about production, if you look at this next guy may be the most productive guy we signed overall. Justin Tatum, and this is a young man. He just turned 17. He's 6'1", 240 pounds. Maybe one of the best athletic-looking kids that we had on visits. He guided his team to the state championship game. All right, and this is no aberration here. 35 tackles, leading his team in rushing with 2 touchdowns in the state championship game. That's not his senior season stats. That's one game. In 2013, he had 9 performances with 17 or more tackles. He finished his senior season with 247 tackles, 7 sacks, and 1,100 yards rushing at fullback. You'll see him on film. He's the 83rd ranked linebacker in the nation, and he was all-state for both defense and offense. He's a team captain. He's an outstanding student. Nick Needham, defensive back / wide receiver. I think this guy again could end up on either side of the ball. On offense, he hauled in 39 passes for 877 yards and 5 touchdowns. On defense, he tallied 38 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, and a sack. He's ranked 74th in the nation at cornerback on 247sports.com and was named 2013 Scholar Athlete at his school. Another young man that has a lot of good football ahead of him. Adrian Henson, safety from Corpus Christi, Flower Bluff. This guy, after the season, was named Dave Campbell's Texas Football All-State First Team, which is quite an honor in the state of Texas with all the great players in the state of Texas. All right, this guy was a 3-year starter, registered 83 tackles his senior year, 2 passes, picked off for 100 yards. He was named All-District MVP and Friday Night Fever Player of the Year recipient. He ranked 75th safety in the nation on 247sports.com, and he was All-State, played in 14 games in 2012, again tallying 106 tackles and 4 tackles for loss. This is a very productive player who makes plays with great speed. And you talk to the people at his school, this guy is outstanding character. Usually you talk to the coaches, we had secretaries coming out of the woodworks, we had assistant coaches just telling us what a quality young man this kid is. Mookie Carlisle is a 4-year starter at Stevensville High School. Very productive high school career for him. A good-sized DB who may even end up being a strong safety or even a slash linebacker for us. 6'1", 200 pounds. 90 tackles his senior season, 7 pass breakups, 5 interceptions. He's the 73rd ranked safety in the nation on 247sports.com. Okay. His junior year tallied 97 tackles and 2 interceptions. Led his team to 3 straight district titles. He also lettered in basketball and baseball. A lost art nowadays, having a 3-sport player. I love it. All right. He was a regional finalist on baseball, and he was a 2-time all-district outfielder, first-team honoree for his baseball team. Well-rounded athlete. Now we get to the fat guys. All right, they don't have many stats, but they got a place in my heart. The first one, Pookie, Chris Jones from Corsicana, Texas. He's a 3-year starter for Corsicana, back-to-back district first-team honors. Was named Newcomer of the Year in AP All-State, honorable mention this past season. He also competed in the discus in high school on track. This guy is an outstanding puller. He's got great size. We're going to play him at the center position, and he kind of reminds me of a former center that played here, James Spady, that was very athletic, except Pookie's got quite a few pounds on James. Darren Gatewood, an offensive guard from Odessa Permian High School. He also earned a spot on the Dave Campbell's Texas football super team. He was rated 13, gave up 0 sacks in the 2013 campaign. He's a 3-time all-academic, all-district football player. He played baseball for 2 seasons. That's an athletic 295-pound baseball player. Jared Brooks, who came in to visit this past weekend. This kid is a young man, again, just turned 17 years old. He's 6'5", 305 pounds, long arms, very lean, and this kid is going to be an outstanding player for us, extremely athletic, and he's just a young man. He's going to grow into a frame. He's going to be a 325-pounder, and he's going to be lean. He allowed 0 sacks himself. He played on an offense that scored 426 points in 11 games. He also does shot put and discus throw, a dual sport athlete. All right, this is the one I was nervous about. Chris Missa Ala Fua. All right, I got that right the first time. From now on, he's going to be called Big Chris. He's an offensive tackle, offensive guard. He's 6'5", 355 pounds. He is a large young man. He was named Max Prep's All-State first team. He garnered League Lineman of the Year honors that played on both sides of the ball. On defense, he compiled 22 tackles, 1 fumble recovery during the senior season. But he's an offensive lineman for us that has size and athleticism. And all you need to point at that is he plays basketball. It's the first time we saw him moving around was on the basketball court. This guy plays power forward, gives it a new name at 6'5", 355 pounds. He was selected to play in the DB Guru All-Star Game, 3-year varsity basketball player. He is going to be a force for us inside, and he moves very light on his feet for a guy that size. I'll get to the 2 El Paso signees. Again, much like last year with the Jones brothers, Elmendorf and Ryan Metz, we really felt we got the top guys in El Paso this year. Again, Warren Reddix, maybe one of the more productive guys on this sheet if you really look at his numbers. Earned back-to-back all-district honors, MVP of the district 2 years in a row. Registered 2,679 yards on 184 receptions, 34 touchdowns. That's not his career, that's his senior season. We're talking about production. He also compiled 751 yards rushing on 63 carries. When we were recruiting this young man, we talked to a lot of the other, because we were being here in town, we had a lot of references. Name the most competitive kid in town. Just about everybody mentioned this kid being the most competitive kid in town. He's an outstanding student. We're excited to get him. His junior year, he was just as productive. His sophomore year, he was just as productive. He played in the El Paso Showcase All-Star Game. He could play slot receiver for us. He could play running back for us. He could return kicks for us. He may be able to play DB for us. He sounds a lot like a guy we signed last year named Aaron Jones. Eddie Senegal from El Paso Andrus. Started 3 seasons on varsity squad, racked up 2,560 yards on 122 receptions, 26 receiving touchdowns, 29 total. That's production. This guy also plays basketball, very versatile athlete, excelled on the hardwood, played 4 years on the varsity basketball squad, named to All-City first team in 2012 and 13 for basketball. Earned first team All-District 2013 in football. This guy is productive. He's a bigger frame wide receiver. I think once he grows into his body, he's going to be a 6 foot, 200-pound receiver with outstanding athleticism. Probably the days of signing 165-pound running backs is over, right? The style of play that we want to play is physical downhill football. Both the backs that we signed this year are 220 pounds, starting with David Ham from Klein, Texas. Rushed for 1,821 yards and 18 touchdowns. He carried for 27 times for 225 yards and a pair of touchdowns in a playoff game. He was voted District Offensive Player of the Year. He was a Houston area top 100 football recruit, and he's been selected to play in the 34th annual UIL High School Touchdown Club Finals. Trayvon Hughes, Pops, the other Pops, the little Pops, during his senior season at Hebron High School, rushed for 240 times, 1,445 yards, 6 yards a carry, 14 touchdowns. He was named 2013 co-MVP of his district. He picked up a 3-star rating by ESPN.com and is ranked the 81st running back in the country in the ESPN Top 300 Running Backs list. He accounted for 43% of his school's total yardage. He rushed for 1,400 yards on 205 carries his junior year. He played linebacker his sophomore year. That'll tell you a little bit about his toughness. The next guy is a guy that, looking for guys that can play multiple positions. Sloan Spiller from Katy High School. Everybody knows Katy High School. They were runner-up for the state championship